Just Talk Black Show. Disclosure Statement. Disclaimer. The views and opinions shared on the Just Talk Black Show are those of the hosts and guests, and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the show, its sponsors, or affiliates. This show is a space for open, honest, and respectful dialogue within the Black community. Some conversations may include sensitive topics, strong language, or personal opinions that are intended to spark thought and encourage positive change. Listener discretion is advised. All guests are responsible for the accuracy of their statements and agree to participate voluntarily. By appearing on the show, guests give permission for their audio, video, and likeness to be recorded and distributed across Just Talk Black's platforms. Let's talk real. Let's talk truth. Let's just talk black.
Just Talk Black with DJ Purpose. Every Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Just talk. 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 Just talk. 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 Just talk. Just talk black. Black. Talk black. Black. Talk black. Black. Talk black. Black. Just talk black. And I don't think that I'm wrong. They keep telling me to put it in a song, but I won't, cause it's already one. It goes do-do-do-do, And I don't think that I'm wrong. They keep telling me to put it in a song, but I won't, cause it's already one. It goes do-do-do-do, Do-do-do-do. And I don't think that I'm wrong.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to the Just Talk Black show. Well, I'm telling you, it's been a week. It's been a real week. And then the guys out there in the chat, please just say hi, so I know you're in the chat today, because this is gonna be a show that is gonna be really good. The special guest that we're gonna have on today is going to be talking about care leaving, and we're going to dive into a little bit of other stuff as well. But how are you guys doing today? Give me a thumbs up, give me a hi, let me know that you're in the chat. I know people there are watching. Wow, come on peeps, just say a little hi to me so I can see that you're there. But I'm just going to quickly go and show you guys on who we are having on next week, because I like to show you guys that who we are having on next week. So guys, this is Martin. So he is going to be talking about the importance of godparents and role model. He has absolutely written a wonderful book that is helping and telling us how important it is for godparents and role models. So this is going to be one to watch next week. But as we go back into the show of the Just Talk Black show, please, people, subscribe. We're nearly there to the 100 mark. Come on, subscribe. Press that like button. Tell your friends, tell your family that, you know what, DJ Purpose is on today on the Just Talk Black show. And we've got our special guest, Monique. Wow, Monique, I'm telling you, this one is going to be the one to listen into and tune and pay attention. And if you've got any questions as well, put it in the chat and we can see if we can answer those questions. But she has a wonderful testimony. And I'm telling you, I always speak about how powerful testimonies are and how life-changing it can help people. I mean, as soon as I starting this show, just the amount of people that's been phoning me and telling me how grateful they are for this show and what it's been doing for them. So people, please, please, please put a thumbs up. I can see one person put a thumbs up, but there's many people watching. Oh yes, I can see another thumbs up. That's good, people. Yeah. So let's get started. Let's welcome Monique. Monique is just going to tell us a little bit about herself and what she does.
Hi everyone, thank you DJ Purpose for having me on. My name's Monique, as said, and I am first of all a mother, I'm a wife, and I'm a service manager by profession for young people, and I'm also a CEO of a company called Illuminate, which advocates and supports for care leavers.
Wow, Monique, welcome to the Just Talk Black show. I am happy to have you on this show. I mean, we've been speaking and I've been finding out a little bit about yourself and what you do. And I'm telling you, I've just been amazed of what you've been telling me and the journey that you've been on and what you've achieved. So can you tell us a little about your journey growing up in care and how it has shaped you to be the wonderful lady that you are today?
So my journey in care started at the age of 1. I went into care in 1996, I believe. Yes, 1996. I spent 17 years in one place. It was quite challenging because I suffered abuse. Um, that was really, really hard. I faced a lot of rejection, even self esteem. I suffered from really poor mental health at the time. Of course, it wasn't really looked at as mental health because it wasn't mental health wasn't as big as it is now, um, and that really did. I never really had a view or thought of what my future would look like being the age that I am now, having kids, being married. I never actually had that view as a child, because I couldn't really see past a certain point. I just knew at 18 I was going to be out of this system. Um, I think going back through the years and growing up in care really did teach me actually that I have to try and find a voice in all of this. And I did say one of the things that it did teach me is that I need to have a voice. Growing up, I was always very loud. I was always, had a lot of things to say. I spoke a lot. And that is something that has really helped carry me into my career and into what I do today and shapes me into who I am now. I think my care experience journey is what has really shaped me into the woman I am today, being resilient, believing that I can get anything. It doesn't matter where I've come from or the past that I've had. That's not going to stop me from having a better tomorrow for myself and for those around me, i.e., my children and my husband. So, those are some of the things that how being in care has really shaped me and my identity today.
So you said that from a young age you was taken into care. Now, what did that look like from you taken into care, and how did that absolutely happen? Because this is what happened to many people. I know many people's got different ways that it happened, but how did that happen, and how did that make you feel at that young age to be taken away?
So, I was 1. I just turned 1 when I'd gone into care. No, I'd going on to 2 when I'd gone into care. When we were taken from my mum, God rest her soul now, she's passed on. But she was very unwell at the time struggled with her own mental health issues, which meant that her ability to look after us obviously wasn't there. And then we were taken. I remember being told as a child constantly that your mum didn't love you, your mum didn't fight for you, your mum didn't want you. And that kind of hindered my relationship with my mum until I was about 13 years old, when I was like, no, I was constantly told, your mum's sick, your mum's this. And anytime I would see my mum, sickness for me was a physical thing. And I couldn't see, like, she had no broken bones, her arm wasn't in a car, she was in a wheelchair. So being told all of those things, it was kind of just like, well, how is she sick? And that was what built my curiosity a bit around her. So thankfully, I grew up in a house in Brixton, and my mum didn't live too far from us. So I found her number one day, and I said, enough's enough. I just need her to I need to understand why my mum doesn't love me, like what I've been told. I need to understand why my mum doesn't care about me. I need to understand why my mum doesn't love us enough to fight. Because from what I knew, parents fought for their children. So enough was enough. And called my mum one day. She was shocked. And I said, I need to come and see you because you need to answer the questions. And my mum, being so amazing, she did sit down and see me, and she explained to me that she was unwell. She explained to me what mental health was, um, why somebody had called, and she was really apologetic for the fact. And throughout all of my life, my mum constantly apologized for not being able to look after us and agreeing for us to go into care till we're 18. So I would say the first 13 of years of my life were quite angry years against my mum, and I hated her quite a bit because it was just like, why would you do this to me? It's your fault. The reason why I've been abused, it's your fault. until I got to know the truth. And then I became angry at my foster carer. I became angry at the system for lying to me, because it wasn't just my foster carer who had lied. It was inevitably social workers who had lied to me, tried to, stop a relationship with my mum. So I would say my years in care whilst I was in that home before knowing the truth, yeah, did have a big impact on me.
So you said the social cares, what were they telling lies about what they were saying and stuff? Just
Yeah,
elaborate on that.
so I was constantly told that, your mum, she's too unwell to look after you. Your mum didn't come to court. Your mum doesn't want you. I was told that from social workers and from my foster carer as well. And at 9 years old, of course I'm gonna believe that. That's what an adult's telling me. So of course I'm gonna have no choice but to believe it.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. Now, what's the process of how does it absolutely work? What's the process of someone going into care from a young age?
So it's not, so some people think social workers come in, they something happens, they take the child, that's it. That's not how it goes. So from reading my file, I got my file back last May. um there was a number of instances, a number of issues that had happened in the home. The decline in my mum's mental health, of course, being at the top of the list, which is why they got involved. And I don't know how much they had worked on trying to like resolve it, but I did see instances where it was written, and I'm going to say it was written because I don't know it to be fact, because some things written in my file I know to be a lie. But it was written that, they'd made attempts to try and help and try and kind of do a bit of planning with my mom, and all of those things were unsuccessful. And then it was seen that, yeah, we'd be considered as children in need. And we went on a child protection plan, and then it was decided by a judge that, yeah, my mom, we wouldn't reside back in the care of my mom.
Well, so the judge absolutely said that you wouldn't be doing that. Wow, that
Yeah.
is because with you going through all of this as well, and I do want to touch on because I know you're married, which I like to say. I could see your husband in the chat, saying, "Wow, my wife." You know what I mean? Big him up out there, big you up out there. So just tell us, because that is amazing. I just want to touch on that a little bit. Just tell the audience of how long you've been married and about your partner, and just a little bit about you two's relationship, because you've come out of a system that's been telling you that, been lying basically to you. And, mental health must play a big part in what you went through. But I just want to get to the part of your relationship and your marriage, because I think that is a part that obviously you went through a lot in your life, but now out of that, you've got married and you've got kids. So let's just touch a little bit on that and just tell us a little bit about, that process of meeting your husband. And was that your dream to get married, or was it anything like, nah, I'm not doing this, or I won't be able to do this?
It definitely wasn't my dream. I had no dreams actually for what I wanted in the future. So I would say that God just placed Daniel in my life at a time where I was really searching to try and heal myself. I met Daniel when I was 21, a few weeks before my 21st birthday, so 11 years ago, around this period. Daniel was a friend of one of my cousins. My cousin was going through quite a hard time, and when Daniel had messaged, my cousin wrote something on Facebook, and Daniel messaged, and I said to my cousin, like, you don't have good friends like that, so what friend is that? And he was like, it's my boy Daniel, like, you should message him. And it was very much a dare. And if anybody knows me, like, you can't dare me to do anything, because I'm just not that person who's going to say no. So he was like, I dare you to tell him thank you. So I did. And I said, hey, I'm Monique, I'm Shamal's cousin. Thank you so much for helping him. Thank you for what you said. Thank you for encouraging him. And yeah, we just spoke every day since that day. And it wasn't even a thing of I was looking for a boyfriend at the time. I was really just looking to heal myself. Going through so much, I really just wanted to try and make myself a better person. And then eventually I realized that actually I genuinely am starting to love this person. And I never knew that I could love anybody the way that I love Daniel. I've never really had anybody other, like, you know, my age or close to my age that really looked out for me the way Daniel did. I suffered from a lot of anxiety. I'd have loads of anxiety attacks, and Daniel used to come to the hospital with me a lot. So that's what made me realize, you know what, this is somebody who genuinely does care about me.
And those attacks that you had, what is that for someone who doesn't know or suffer with anxiety attack? What does that look like, or how did that play a part?
So it used to, I didn't know what they were. I didn't know they were anxiety attacks. It used to feel like I was having a heart attack. I never knew what any of those symptoms were. It just used to feel like I was having a really, really, like a heart attack, and not being able to breathe and feeling really, not even knowing I was feeling anxious. And then I'd turn up at the hospital and they'll do ECGs, do all the checks, and then it would be like, "Are you worried about anything?" And of course, I would just mask everything. No, no, I'm not. But I was, at the time, I was really worried about a lot. I was scared about myself. I was scared about my future. I was scared. I was having really bad flashbacks about some of the abuse I had suffered, and that was really playing a big part on my physical health. Um, and I was quite like lonely at some point. So I just, yeah, it was difficult for me to navigate through all of that on my own. And Daniel definitely was there to, whenever I was feeling unwell and those things would happen, he was there to, you know, be in the hospital with me all night doing tests. So yeah.
That's good. I can see, let's see Daniel here, because Daniel's saying a message. Daniel, there you are. Bigging up your wife. Come on. You know, I need to get Daniel on the show. I told you that when I spoke to you, I need to get him on the show. Because you when we spoke, you said that you went through is it depression mode sort of thing that you went through, and that Daniel was there to support you. And I'm going to tell you, people, we're going to have a part 2 of this, because there is so much to cover. I can't cover in this one show, because we need to get a husband on. You know, when I was speaking to you, Monique, we were talking about, you know, you went through your trials and tribulation apart, but Daniel as well had to go through that with you. I want to get him on the show and talk to him about seeing you go through them problems, and how did he manage to absolutely like direct you out of it and be there and support you, and how did it make him feel, you know what I mean? Because we were speaking about that and just saying, you know, that's a part that the other people don't get to really see, you know, of how it affects the other person to see a loved person going through what you went through. So, you know, I'm telling you, this chat's blowing off today, you know. I'm just telling you, you know, there's a little thing there. Locked in love and so proud of you. Come on, man. People are proud of you, you know, for just coming on and just talking what you're talking. So, peeps, just please, if you are new to the channel, please, 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 I'm going to say subscribe to the channel. We need to push this out. You know, what Monique is doing is wonderful. And there's many people out there who's got testimonies as well. So please, people, subscribe. We need to get this channel out there, because what Monique is talking about today, you know, is amazing. And there's people out there who needs to hear this testimony of what she's talking about. So Monique, just tell us a little bit about your company, because you've started a company. What is the name of your company?
So we're called Illuminate CIC. And what we do, the reason why I wanted to start this is because even in my working life, I saw that there's a big gap between care leavers and being able to adjust. And as well as from my own experience, I would never got care leaver status. So I literally came out of care at 17, put in a hostel around like drug users. And then from there, I bid and I got my flat. I had no support. And that is a story for a lot of care leavers. So I wanted to start this to kind of, if you don't go through the the independent living route, and you go from like a foster placement right into your own flat, you're not really always going to be ready. And that was the case for me. And sometimes I built this, I wanted to start this company because I wanted to bridge the gap between social services and a young person, so that a young person's voice is always heard. And at times that's not always what happens. So like I have someone who we mentor now who, you know, she's gone through a very similar situation as I have, and trying to navigate through that, and being able to be a voice and advocate for her has been something that I've really, really enjoyed doing. And it's like, this is the reason why I set this up, so that I could be that bridge and make young people have a voice that I wish that I had. Like back then, I wished I had a company or an organization that would come beside me and say, do you know what, Monique? Yes, let's do this. Like, let me help you. I didn't. I came so close in the first year of getting my tenancy. I came so close to losing my house and being homeless because I didn't understand what paying bills was. I chose to eat rather than pay rent. So this is something that I wanted to do to make sure no other young person, as much as I can avoid it, goes through the same things that I did.
So just touching on that part. So when you just said that you had to basically have a house for yourself and paying bills and stuff. So nobody didn't show you of how to manage money, of paying bills, or none of that back then. No?
No.
Wow.
I didn't have a clue of any of it. When things did start to go bad, I must have been about 21 or 20. And that's when I was put in a money management program. I do hair on the side. So I'm a hairdresser. It's one of my side hustles.
Yep.
And that program taught me to put down the money from doing hair and see if how much I could make. And back then, £200 was a lot of money. And I'm not somebody who charges like, ridiculous money to do hair. But I put down that money and I managed to get the £200 mark as money that I could use going forward. And that's what taught me how to save.
Yeah. So with your company now, you absolutely help them to understand the money sort of side and the side of that, because and that's important, not even just in the care system, but even in the family home, of how to manage money. Something that the Black community needs to be, I think, focusing on money sort of thing, and how to deal with money. We spend a lot of money on certain things that we don't even need, and just to manage to pay our bills, because you said you struggle to pay your bill, and these are things that I believe that in whether you're in care or you're in your house, these are principles that needs to be taught from a very young age. So just going back to your care life and your care system life and stuff. So you was in care from a young age. You only had one household, that you said?
Yeah.
Okay. What did that household, and was it a Black parent or was it a white parent, or what sort of parent was it?
So back then they were only really placing, I know it's a lot different now, but back then they were only really placing, if you're from a Caribbean background, you were placed with somebody who could identify with your culture and with your roots. So I was placed with a Caribbean lady.
Yeah. And how was she towards you? And was it just you, or did you was going with your sisters and stuff?
So I went with my sister, just older than me, and my brother, just younger than me.
Okay.
So there was three of us, and we grew up around, now they're my cousins, I love them to bits. We grew up around them and her as well. She wasn't, I'll put it this way, I can't remember many, apart from being on holiday, because that's one thing she did do. She did take us on holiday, which was great, because not many foster children did get to go on planes. But outside of that, looking back now, I feel like most of that was for show and for her own gratification, look at me. But it wasn't, I don't remember many happy moments in my childhood. I think the happiest moment that I did have was when I was in The Lion King in the West End. Beyond that, I don't remember any other happy moments.
Wow. So there wasn't, what about your birthday? Was that celebrated?
My birthday's actually stopped being celebrated. I think my 13th birthday was the last birthday that I actually celebrated with her. Other birthdays, it was dependent on if I, like I said, I was always a mouthy person. So other birthdays were dependent on if I said the right thing or did the right thing. Until I got to 16 and I was just like, do you know what? I'm going to celebrate myself. And that's why every single year since then, I make a big deal about my birthday. So my birthday is actually next week Sunday.
And you should. Your birthday's when?
Next week Sunday, the 14th of September.
I'm going to have to get you a present. What would you like? Tell me what you like. Nothing expensive,
Something nice and something small, something nice, little Lamborghini outside my door would be fine.
I need one of them myself. I need to get a Lamborghini myself. So, when it's my birthday, I might just call you, say, Monique, remember?
Don't worry, don't
Lamborghini.
worry.
I tell you what, Monique, I'm telling you what, this is like blowing off today. You've got a big audience out there today. Wow. Come on, Monique. People are thanking you. Can you see the message in the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, come on. This is what it's about. So let's just talk about what is some of the struggle, because obviously you're working with young people as well. So what are some of the biggest challenges that they face, and what age is it that they leave care home? Is it 18?
So at 18, you get your care leaver status. So every young person in the country in care gets care leaver status. And what the care leaver status means is that you get housing. So you're definitely assured to get your house. And you also get a PA right up until the age of 25. Is it like additional extra support for anything that you may need or anything that you want? So that's what you get when you're 18 and you leave care. Part of your care leaver status means that, like I said, you get a house, so you're assured to a council house within the borough that you live in. You get that, and then also you're meant to get some money, not given to you, but you get like a little allowance of £3,000, which is to help you set up your home, furnish your home, get your white goods, and just to help you transition a bit better into your own independent living. But like I said, not every 18-year-old is ready for that, and it is a big step. So companies like myself, we help young people when they get to 18 to either step down into semi-independent, or some people who just continually need that extra 24 hour support in supported housing.
So what are some of the challenges that the youngsters, obviously they get a bit of allowance, one of the struggles, some of them are not ready. What is it to make sure like they're not ready? What would you say some of the problems or some of the challenges that these young people are facing to say, you know what, I'm not ready to do this?
Trauma. That is a big thing that we see. And I think working with it, you can really just see some young people are just not ready for it. And it's much easier for social services to say, actually, do you know what? Here you go. Here's your flat. It's less work on them, where it's more work for you to actually identify that actually this young person is not ready. And it takes people like in roles like mine to put those recommendations. We live with them 24/7 to say like, actually, no, they're not ready to go into independent living. They don't have adequate independent living skills. They don't have the support that is needed. And I think financially, not enough is put into help support young people when they've had very traumatic experiences and they need additional support. Of course, the mental health support, you have the CAMS till you're 18, but then everyone knows that even that stretch, but adult mental health services is even more stretched. So a lot of people go through that whole transition gap not really feeling like they're very well supported. So I would say that is one of the biggest things is trauma. And sometimes you don't even have the voice to say, I'm not ready for this. Now we see young people think they're ready for everything, go into accommodation, go into their own flat, not being able to sustain it, but not having the voice to say, I can't do this, or not having the people around or the person to go to and say, I actually cannot do this. And I think the system in itself isn't designed to really help put those independent living skills in young people. I think it's a system now that really does sometimes baby young people so much. So you could have young people in their homes not knowing how to change light bulbs, not knowing how to bleed a radiator, not knowing how to, do basic, check the fuse box, not knowing how to do those basic things, turn the bar up on their meter, on their boiler to make sure that they've got hot water. And I think sometimes the system just babies them, muddle cuddles them into this false sense of reality. And when they get to that point and realize, actually, I do have to be responsible and I do have to be accountable, they can't do it.
You know that part about what was it, the boiler part that you said? I know some big man don't even know how to do that, you know.
No, yeah,
They've
it's
got a
sad.
flat, they get their first flat and they don't even know how to turn the boiler or even change a
Yeah,
plug. I'm
it's
like,
sad.
come on, for
Yeah.
real? You don't even know how to change a plug. But these are, as I said, basic stuff that need to be sort of shown, trained, teach that from a young age. Support within the community as well, because it takes a community to
Yeah.
raise a young person. They say it takes a village to raise a young person, which I totally believe in. And I believe it's everybody's duty out there just to help one another. The more we share that love, that unity, the youth clubs, they need to come back again. That's one thing I would say. The youth club need to come back on, like, and start training the youngsters into these roles, you know, because everybody wants to be a football player, everybody wants to be a rapper, hip hop, but what about the electricians? What about the builders? Come on, what about these stuff that we need, which we are lacking in?
The
But
trades. Yeah.
I really do, you know, I appreciate you today. And people, I'm going to say, if you are watching, please subscribe. If you just come in, this is Monique, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person. You know, we are talking about the care leaving system and the youngsters from 18 to, what is it, 25?
25, yeah.
Yeah, 25. So these are the people that leave and are sometimes just left to get on by themselves, you know. So you started a company which are helping these people. So how do you build a trust with these young people? Because they're going to be coming with a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of the thing like, I'm not loved, I'm not wanted. How do you build that trust with like the young people? And this could be a trust, when I'm saying what you're going to be talking about right now, I think this could be implemented into the house system as well, because sometimes our kids don't tell us stuff because they think we're just going to be angry or we don't love them. Or so I think it's important what you're about to say is going to also not just for the care leavers, but also into the house. So how do you build that trust with the youngsters nowadays?
I would say it's not what you say, it's what you do. That's the most important thing. Young people don't care about what you say because they've been promised the world and its dog. It's about what you do. And I commit myself solely, if I'm, whether it's young people, anybody, if I say this is what we're going to do and we've got this and it's achievable, I put it into action. One of our visions, the company that I work for, one of our statements is put words into action. And that thing is just me. Whatever I say, I'm going to do. And I also make young people know I'm accountable. So if I'm not giving you the service, you can complain. Of course, yeah, if you tell me, oh, Monique, I want a house tomorrow, and I definitely know you're not ready for that, I'm not going to put you, suggest or indicate that you should go forward to it. But I make them know that I am accountable. If there's something wrong, if I'm doing something wrong, I'm not too big for you to tell me, Monique, I didn't like what you said. I didn't like the way you said it. I'm not that person who's going to be tell you like, no, you can't talk to me because I'm older than you. I'm not the person who's going to say, yeah, you have to respect me because I'm older than you. No, you have to respect me because I'm human, just the same way that I'm going to respect you. I also allow young people to let them feel how they feel because you're allowed to feel angry. You're very much allowed to be mad. You're very much allowed to have those emotions. We all are. But what I'm not going to, I set a clear boundary of what I'm not going to tolerate is you lashing out or being disrespectful to me or talking to me in ways that you wouldn't want me to talk to you. So I think for me, gaining their trust is about setting a healthy and clear boundary, making them see that you are accountable. Yes, you're an adult, but I'm accountable. And if you want to, say something and something's bothering you, you can just tell me. And when you tell me, I'm going to do something with it. And then also, just by your actions, being consistent. I tell the staff who I manage all the time, young people, as much as people, they kick off, they love boundaries. No young person can say they don't like somebody, okay, they hate it. But deep down, if you've got someone constantly showing you, where are you? Have you done this? Have you been there? Yeah, it might seem like you're on your back, but the amount of young people who say, I'm glad you actually did that, or I'm glad you continue to check in on me, or I'm glad that you continue to be there for me because nobody does that. Nobody shows me that they care. Even coming from home, the first mistake that you make, your parents are ready to kick you out. Whereas you make mistakes here, yes, there is consequences, but you can still keep trying. We're not just going to throw you away at the first sign. So I think it's more so about just act. don't be that person who just can say, do you know what, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, but actually just do it.
Monique, there's a question. I'm going to come back to this conversation, but there's a question. Let's bring up this question quickly. Let me see if I can get it up. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So how was it being in care and going to school among other kids and the teachers? How was that for you?
I was always told, don't tell anybody you're in care. I was always told that it's quite shameful, it's embarrassing, don't let anybody know that you're in care, don't let anybody know. So I didn't actually, not many, only a few of my really, really close friends knew that I was in care. But not many. I think a few teachers did know. I remember in year 2, I had one teacher who found out, and she quite used that against me. She wasn't very nice to me when she found out that I was in care. I was always told, if you tell people you're in care, you're going to be a bit different. Of course, it was always weird because especially in secondary school, no one really knew that I was in care. Everyone just thought I lived with my nan. So at parents' evening, you would see my foster nan rock up and everyone else's mum would be there.
How did that make you feel?
Sometimes I don't think I had much feeling towards it. I think for me it was just like a norm. I didn't have much feelings. I didn't want my foster nan to come to parents' evening anyway.
I think I didn't even want my mum to come to parents' evening.
Yeah, no, I didn't want her because she, unfortunately, she wasn't a very honest person, and so she was one way in front of the teachers,
okay,
and then one way in front of me. Like she was telling me, like I was a piano, I learned to play the piano, and in front of my music teacher, she kind of she didn't let me practice the piano at a certain time at home. And when I would tell my music teacher that, no, don't say that, I never stopped you. And it was kind of just like, oh, you're a liar, man, child. So, I didn't really like her, but I didn't have much. I think the only thing that I found more difficult was like Mother's Day, Father's Day, those kind of momental days that people have. But other than that, I didn't really have an issue with it. I just never told anybody.
Yeah, I'll tell you, when it come down to parents' evening, I didn't want my mum to come at all. I was so naughty in school. I was well naughty, and I knew I was getting in trouble. I knew when I get home, that was it for me. So I didn't want my mum rocking up to school, let alone for parents' evening. But you got a fan base out there, Monique, my cousin. Wow, come on, that's what I'm talking about. So we're gonna go for a quick break. I think it's about that time. So guys, I'm gonna quickly go to a advertisement break. This is where we get to advertise black-owned business out there. So if you are a black-owned business and you like to advertise your business on the show, please go to the Just Talk Black page on Instagram. You can find my mobile number there. Just give me a call and we'll get your whatever you do. So Monique, come on, I want to get your company out as well. I could advertise it for you. Free advertisement we do for the next 2 months. So guys, I'm just going to go for a short advertisement break. We'll be back.
You like gospel music?
Go to gtracks.net.
You play gospel music?
Go to gtracks.net.
You create gospel music?
Go to gtracks.net. What are you waiting for? Go to gtracks.net. Globally great gospel.
Buy your gospel music on gtracks.net, where the artists get the lion's share.
The Be Uzuri platform was launched by Biddy to promote much more than just being active. Featuring talented trainers from around the world, Be Uzuri brings you representation that matters. Be Uzuri Fitness is an online wellness platform for black women, featuring not only workouts for the gym, yoga and Pilates, but also affirmations, meditation, and African Caribbean plant-based recipes. Featuring a huge variety of female trainers and resources from around the world, Be Uzuri has brought together content that enables black women to truly appreciate what well-being means. The Be Uzuri platform is here to inspire and empower your fitness and wellness journey. Check out the website or download the Android app today.
Yo, got a black-owned business. It's time to shine with Just Talk Black Show. This is Just Talk Black, where we speak truth, that lift the black community. Advertise your brand on the Just Talk Black Show. Make it loud, make it bold. Call DJ Purpose, let the story unfold. On that 0747 153 9533. This is Just Talk Black Show. Your business, Just Talk Black Show. Your business, your voice. Just Talk Black Show.
So guys, welcome back. Guys, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. You need to hit that subscribe button. I'm telling you, this is a conversation. I'm going to have to bring Monique back for part 2 because this topic, I haven't even got through like half of the stuff I wanted to talk about. But guys, please subscribe to the channel. And it's important that you subscribe to the channel because once you subscribe to the channel, every time we are going live, you will be notified that the Just Talk Black Show is going live and you can see the guest who will be coming on. And just talking about that. Well, let's see if we can get that up. I'm trying to bring this one up. Let me see if I can bring this one up. Nope. Okay, so that's not having it. But what I'm going to say anyway is on the 18th of September, we are going to be having 5 black men coming on to the show, which are going to be talking about their experience in the UK as black men. We're going to be touching on topic on mental health. We're going to be touching on relationship, and we're going to be talking about culture and also entrepreneurship. So that, guys, is not one to be missed. You have to be there. This is going to be our first ever panel discussion where we bring on 5 guys, you know, who are going to come on and just tell us about their experience of being in the UK as a black man. But also, I'm going to put it out there as well. If you are a lady and you would like to come on the show and be on one of this panel, again, find me on the Just Talk Black Show on Instagram. Hit me up and say you would like to be one of these ladies who would like to be on the show. And that is 5 ladies we're looking for who's got experience in life who would like to be on that channel. And that is going to be the topic, the same as the guys talking on relationship, culture, entrepreneurship, and yeah, they're the ones that we're going to mainly focus on. So if you are there and you are hearing that, or you got a friend who you think that would be good to come on the show, do tell them about that we are looking for 5 females to come on to the show and talk about their experience. So I'm going to bring Monique back in and we're going to dive back into these. So Monique, welcome back. You know, I just want to touch on the topic while we're talking on that topic. Why is it important for young black people who are in care to see people that looks like them? Because I feel like obviously there's a system that these black kids come from a home, and to look at someone who represents them, why is that so important within your system that you work in as well?
I think you said the key thing, representation is everything. To be in a system where you kind of like get broken from your identity, you get broken off from what culture kind of looks like. So to have people around you who can identify and understand your culture. I have young people at work who, similar backgrounds to myself, come from Caribbean Jamaicans, grew up in a Jamaican household, suffered really bad abuse. And it's funny because you hear, not funny, but you hear the same similar lines that are being said by abusers to their children. So to have somebody from the same culture be able to say to you, That's happened, but it's not right. It's not right, and it's something that in our culture we shouldn't have to accept. We shouldn't have to accept beating children. It's not a normal thing to do. Beating children with, slippers, shoes, spoon, rolling pin, iron. It's not a normal thing to do, and we shouldn't have to accept it. So having people who understand your culture, somebody who you can look at and say, they understand me, that is something that is key also in building trust, because I have black boys who say, I need a black mentor. I need somebody who looks a black figure, a black male. I don't have black males in my life. So I want a black male to look up to and to be able to say, do you know what? If they can make it, we've all lived in London, we all come from South. If they can make it through and still be okay and not have to go down this trapping lifestyle or be a rapper, that automatically tells them that, yeah, so can I do it. I think in the sector anyway, we do lack strong male black mentors, strong male black figures, especially for some of our young black boys. That is something that we lack. So when we do see them and we do sit at them, everyone kind of leeches onto them like, yeah, please help, because it's a big thing. Representation for our young people is a very, very big thing to be able to identify. I remember when I was a child and I was given a black dolly for the first time. I remember that dolly over any other doll that I was given. My neighbor gave it to me as a gift for Christmas, and I remember that dolly with everything because it was a dolly that looked like me. And from that point, as a child, I even knew how important it was to have those representations and have those things around you that you can identify with to make you feel like you belong. Because part of your identity, you have to feel like you belong somewhere in order for you to continue thriving. We see it in gang culture. Young people feel like they belong and they can identify with, drill. They can identify with the street life. They can identify trapping. That's their representation. It comes from that lifestyle. So that's what they're drawn to. Whereas if young people can identify with strong black figures and strong representative figures who haven't been involved in that lifestyle, or even if they have made a turning point, that's what they're going to be drawn to, and that's what they're going to kind of like succeed and build themselves to become.
Wow. You should be a preacher. Definitely. I'm telling you. Wow. Come on. You just wow. You just hit it right on the nail. Like, young boys are looking for black role models to look up to. Wow. Guys, if you're out there, you're hearing, you need a new job, go and do that one. You hear what I'm saying? Support your community. Come on, black man. We need to support our community. So you're saying like with a role model. So say if I wanted to become a mentor sort of thing and work with like a young person, what would I sort of need to do sort of thing?
First of all, have a good DBS.
Okay.
So
I'm clean.
if you're not, it doesn't even, to be fair, it depends, because a lot of people, they have a past. But it's just about making sure that as you're growing, and I tell young people, you never know where you're going to end up, because care experienced young people make some of the best support workers, some of the best social workers, because we've been through it, so we understand it. But I would just say there are loads. Google is your best friend. There are loads of organizations, loads of charities, loads of even councils that are looking for representative, and that would encourage people from black and other ethnic, I don't like the word minorities, but other ethnicities to come out and apply for these roles, because there is a real cry and a real need in society for it. So just Google. You can even go online. There's so many things that you can do, Instagram, TikTok. And if you can't find something and you can't do it, why don't you set up something on your own Instagram page where people can relate to your story, to your videos, to what you put out, the content that you put out, things like that. The power of social media is much better than anything that we've seen, and we're in a social media day and age. So yeah, whatever means necessary, you may not be on the front line like what I do. You can do it behind your desk, behind your computer, behind your phone screen nowadays. So whichever way necessary, find a way and make it happen.
Wow. I'm going to put myself out there. I need to.
Yeah, definitely.
I need to get out there and do some work in the community. So, I'm going to put myself out there. Definitely. That's one thing I'm going to definitely want to do, is work with young people. And I think working with young people, as you said, it builds a character in you, it helps you. And just even talking about this topic today, we did a little bit of research into care leavers and stuff and what happens within the process of this care. It has opened up my mind so much. I was speaking to one of my friend, Norman, out there today, and I was saying sometimes as people, we live in a bubble that because we are safeguarded, we got the happy house and certain things, we don't realize what is going on around us in the world. We're sort of blinded to what is going on. So your testimony today has opened up so much people who don't know what is happening out there. Now they can start looking and say, you know what, I need to be a part of a change that is going to help bring a change to what is happening to our young black kids out there, you know. So that is definitely something I'm definitely gonna put myself, as I said, doing this topic today is just opened up my mind in so much ways of even reading down to kids going missing in the system. I think it is 25% of black kids go missing within the system. That is meaning they do not know where these black kids are. And you know what? They said 1% people of white people go missing in the system. Come on. 1% to our 25% of black kids go missing in the system. That is like, wow. When I was looking into that, and I just said, come on, man, this is just like, you know, terrible what is going on. So, Monique, can you also tell us a story of, or share a story about a time when you saw real change happen to a young person? Because I want to get out there to and understand that there is these trials and tribulation, but, you know, there is people out there who's coming through the care system who are doing wonderful, like yourself, who is started a company, you're married. Come on, like, you know, at your age as well, what you're doing is just so amazing. So can you tell us a story, not naming no names, but just a story of that you saw real change within a young person?
I would say this is many years ago. I used to work in Greenwich, and that was one of the biggest hostels that or supported accommodation that I've ever worked in, 42 bed. And there was a guy, you know, he'd gone through so much. He'd gone through county lines. He'd gone through, you know, he was found in different in a trap house basically. He'd been beaten, he'd been, you know, I think he'd even been stabbed on a mix, but he'd had some really, really traumatic things happen to him. And he came to us and my team, at the time I wasn't manager, but I had an amazing manager herself. And, you know, with the support of myself, we really did do good work with him. And one of the best outcomes for him is we actually saw him and he was very young, he must have been about 18. Say goodbye completely, or he could have been between 18 and 20, say goodbye completely to the streets. And we saw him get his own flat in Greenwich, a beautiful apartment. When I went there the first time when we did the viewing, and then I went there when he'd moved in, it was overlooking, you know, new build apartments overlooking the O2 Arena, overlooking the beautiful Thames, if you want to call the Thames beautiful, but yeah, overlooking that. And it was a real change away from what he had been used to. And I think that story forever sticks with me because the outcome for him should have been death or prison. And he was able to completely turn it around. It would be really interesting to see where he is now. But that was one of the best outcomes for me in my career, seeing that change in that young boy.
That's a wonderful story, you know. Volunteering, hold on, let's see what chat here. Volunteer in a space where there ain't enough black staff to influence changes is a good idea.
Yeah, that I was going to say volunteering. You know, if you want to make a change, it's not about money. And I can say that in the sector we work in, it's definitely not about money. You know, you don't get paid enough. It's about passion. And if you want to, you can't put a price on what the imprint that you leave in young people. So I would definitely say volunteer. There are still youth clubs about. I work in the daytime, I have my 9 to 5, and then in the evenings I work at a youth club as well. So there are youth clubs about in most areas. You've got probably one. It's just about going and doing some voluntary work. and trying to be that change and help be the change, because that's what it needs. It does need, a lot of these spaces do need Black voices. And even being a trustees for some of these organizations, you don't need to, work every day, but just so long as your voice is heard. I think it's really important that in these spaces there is such diversity. And I know a lot of people like to say EDI, so they throw in like the one like maybe Asian lady or the one Black lady. But if we're going to be real change, they need people who are not just going to be scared to have a voice. And that's why one thing I love about myself, I go into these spaces and I'm not scared to speak up, because I've been on both sides of the system, and I've been on both sides, in care, working and being a care leaver. So yeah, just being not afraid to, don't conform, just be you and speak up.
Let's touch a bit about mental health and healing. What are some of the early signs of mental health strugglers that we see, especially among the young people? So, what are some of the early signs that we can look out for?
Isolation and denial. I would say a lot of young people, when they're struggling, they tend to isolate. And what that looks like is, oh, I'm just keeping myself to myself. What it looks like is, oh, I just want to be on my own today. What it looks like is, I'm not really gonna go out. I just want to stay in. I want to stay to me. And then there's a real, when you do bring it up, there's quite like a denial, like an avoidance. That is something that is key that we see with young people when they're going through mental health. Because some people think mental health is not just, oh, you see somebody and they're talking to themselves and they're screaming and they're shouting. Mental health is not being able, is a lot more than that. It's not being able to get up and probably even do some of the most basic things. Go to use a toilet, brush your teeth, look after yourself, look after your living environment. Some of the key ways that we see in supported living is when you go into a young person's room and you realize, actually, this has been, rubbish has been piling up in here for a while now. This has started to, things aren't looking too great. I noticed that normally you smell quite fresh and you smell like you're not really bathing or you're not really eating, neglecting yourself, neglecting your responsibilities, not wanting to be around anyone. Those are very key signs that a lot of people don't really want to look at as mental health signs that there's a decline in mental health. And I think something in society, we kind of look at that and we kind of say, okay, this person's keeping to themselves now, or they just don't want to talk to me. And it's very easy for you to just say, okay, cool, you do you and I do me. That's the society we live in now. I stay in my corner, you stay in your corner. If you don't want to interact with me, cool. Whereas it just takes that one person to be very persistent. Are you okay? What is going on? We have this thing at work where when we notice that there is some kind of a decline, we'll be in your face. Like, I know it does annoy some people, but I will constantly, find ways to communicate with you till I know that you are okay. Because those are some of the very, very, very early signs. It's not always that person who's always canceling on you, who doesn't always want to show up, who doesn't really want to eat anything, or is not really telling you that they're not really sleeping, or you're noticing that it's a pattern that they're, maybe always posting at random times in the nighttime consistently. Those are all key signs that, okay, maybe something isn't quite right there, something's not right. And it's not the time for you to retreat. Of course, go in slowly with baby steps, build that trust, and you can help drag someone out. And I can say that for myself. There have been times where I just want to retreat, and I have retreated. And it just takes for those few people who notice that and be like, Monique, what are you doing? Like, you don't have the time. Of course, I can't do that now. I've got 3 boys. And if I stay in bed past 8 o'clock, it's a problem. But there were times in my life where I did wish, people, instead of looking at it like I'm just shutting myself away, would be consistent and try and reach in and, somewhat show me that they were there and they were around me. And I think for some young people, it's very difficult for them to say mental health, because they immediately think schizophrenia, mad, psychosis. Whereas some signs of very early depression, psychosis starts from that. Schizophrenia starts from those being isolated, and then you start hallucinating, you start thinking, and you start seeing things that may not exist, not sleeping, and early signs like that. So I just think we as people, we shouldn't be so we shouldn't be so quick to, close off and you stay in your corner, I stay in mine. I learned this word a few weeks ago, be curious, professionally curious, want to get to know the person and what's going on before it gets to the point of actually, yeah, do you know what? You have to be sectioned. You need somebody to take you to hospital. And if you do notice the signs, encourage people. Let's go and get help. Let's go and speak to a GP. It doesn't mean that you're mad. It doesn't mean that you're going to be like this forever, but encourage them. Let's go and do that. And I've seen firsthand how doing that stops the more, morbid mental health issues. It stops the whole being sectioned and not recognizing yourself to the point where you have to have someone tell you I have to strip you of your rights and your freedoms in order for you to get better and for you to get help.
So, Monique, how do you protect your own mental health? Now you're going through all of this, you're dealing with all these people bombarding you and telling you their problems and what they're going through. How do you protect your own mental health? Because I think that's important as well.
First of all, I'm very self-aware. So I know when my mental health is declining. I get the warning, I don't sleep. And I know after a period of not sleeping, I know that something's going to happen. So I tend to reach out and I do speak to my husband quite a bit. I've learned and I've had to learn to do this because my biggest fear is, I watched it with my mum. My biggest fear is becoming unwell and not having anybody to support me. That is my biggest fear. So when I do recognize those signs, I speak to my husband. Second of all, I always say my faith and God play a big part in who I am. I've found so much comfort in prayer, worship, and reading my Bible. And a lot of people say, oh yeah, but whatever works for me, this is what works for me. And anytime I know that I need to go in, because God for me has been my comfort before my husband was. God was my comfort. That's the only time I would feel comforted. And so that factor for me plays a very important part in my mental health. And then being honest with myself. I've had to go to the doctors and I've had to say, I know I'm not well. I know something is wrong with me. I know I need to speak and I know I need help. And I just have to be honest with myself. And I owe that not just to myself, but I have children. I owe that to my children. I don't want my children to go through what I went through because I saw it with my mum, not having the support around her when she was going through what she was going through, people, just sidelining her. I don't want that to be my story. So I owe it to my children to go and get help. And when things at work, if things at work, because at work you kind of internalize a lot. I do have those days where I say, do you know what? My manager is absolutely amazing. I can go to her and be like, do you know what? I can't not say her name. I can't do today. It's too overwhelming. And we had a situation a few weeks ago where it was just so overwhelming. And I was just like, I cannot show up. Tomorrow I can't actually show up. I do need to focus on myself because what I've had to experience with another young person's mental health could greatly affect mine. So I had to be honest and take that time away and never apologize for needing to take your time. Never apologize for it. And that's something that I'm learning to not do. I don't have to apologize for needing to take time to out for myself, to focus on me. Even with my kids, there's sometimes my husband and I, we have moments in the week where it's like, okay, can you just tonight, you just deal with the kids. Can I just take a few minutes for myself? Vice versa. My husband can tell me, Monique, I need to go. I need to have some time. And I have to respect that because whatever you need to do to protect your own mental health, you do it. Of course, I'm not going to say sit here and self-medicate, something I used to do with alcohol. I wouldn't suggest those methods. But whatever you need to do, write it down, journaling, praying, music, whatever you need to do to make yourself back in a better place, do it. And don't be scared to speak to a doctor because some people think if you go to a doctor and you say to a doctor, look, I am hearing voices, it's not the first point of call is not to put you in hospital. They want to try and they'd rather not put you in hospital because of our mental health system is so strained. It would be kind of like preventative measures. What can we do? Is it medication? And yeah, medication is a great thing, but I always say assess yourself. is it that you've got so much inside of you, you need to release it? You need to talk to somebody and you don't know how to do it. Be an advocate for yourself. And where you can't advocate for yourself, find somebody who you can trust to do that for you. And those are just the things that I've had to learn to do in my own life to keep myself mentally well.
Would you ever say about what would you say about counselling? Have you ever had counselling? Would that help as many people as well? The counselling.
Yes, counseling for me was a deal breaker. I got counseling after my second child. I lost my mum when I was pregnant with my second child, and I had a complete breakdown after he was born. I was diagnosed with high functioning depression, um, and I had to go to counseling. And counseling really helped me see that a lot of the things that I'd gone through in my life weren't down to me, because I blame myself a lot. I hold myself at the highest standard all the time. And counseling really broke down for me that I don't deserve what happened to me. And it was like my safe place. Going to counseling was very much safe. And sometimes it's easier speaking to my counselor than it was to speak to anybody else, because once I've told her anything, she's not going to come back to me and talk to me about it.
I think counselling is so important, and I think as the show on the 18th of September, I think black men as well, we need, we're always shying away from going from counselling or speaking to someone and holding our emotion in. So counselling, I think, out there is very important. And as you were saying, to speak to someone, sometimes we have to understand that it's okay to say I'm not coping. It's okay to say,
Yeah.
you know what, everything today is not going well. I just wanted to speak to someone. And if you can find that person, just phone them and just say, and an important thing that what I'm going to say actually is what I've learned in my life is to just listen. It's
Yeah.
so important just to sometimes
Yeah.
that you have people phoning you and they just want to tell you their problem. They don't want you to give them
They
advice
need a
sometimes.
solution. Yeah.
Yeah, they just want
just need
you
to
to
talk it
just
out.
listen, and that is so important. I've learned that lesson. It's just to listen. I was speaking to my mom the other day about it actually, and I was saying to her, if say for example, like someone's coming to her with a problem, I said, Mom, sometimes just listen. You don't have to say anything. Don't give them no advice. Just say okay and let them air. Because that's all it takes sometimes, is just someone just to air out what they're going through. Just release that stress that they're going through. So it's very important to have that that counseling, and just to have that friend or someone that you can confide in and just talk to about what you're going through. But just touching on back onto the care leaving system, Monique, there's been a number of black people, they say many young black care end leavers end up homeless. Is that something that you've experienced or watched or gone through, and see someone come out of care and end up homeless? And how does
Yeah.
that process work of bringing them back into maybe getting their own place and helping them through that process again?
Because, like I said, sometimes I would say one of the main reasons that young people end up homeless is it's professionals. It is the professionals, the network around them isn't as supportive as what it should be. And I think, like I said, there's a false narrative that is shown to young people. Okay, here's your house. You get given this, you get given that. Now it's a little bit better. I would say there are organizations to help you, like with your budgeting. There's a course that young people have to do now in order for them to get their bidding number. um the money house program that you have to do. But sometimes that's not enough, because when you get into your flat, what next? It's all good and well when you turn 18, what next? But when you get into a flat, what next? And some young people, it can be so isolating. Like, one of the things that I found so challenging was I went from always being around people to now closing my door and being by myself in a one bedroom flat. I found that so difficult, and that it can be very, very lonely. For a whole year, I couldn't stay in my house by myself. I had to have one of my friends from church. She stayed with me all the time, or I would go to somebody else's house. Um, and for some young people, they just can't adjust to that. Because if you think you go from living in a supported accommodation where there are like 6 people, there's staff there, to now going and living on an estate or in an apartment where it's just you by yourself. It's very lonely. And so you then start to stay out, you then start to find other people, or you know, get into bring other people to your house and bring issues. And sometimes councils, they're not as empathetic. They don't care. Sometimes it's like, I just need the money. Housing benefit don't care if you've got your mental health issues or not. They just want their rent paid. Councils, they don't care if you've got all of these issues. They need their council tax. Like, they need to have the money to help sustain, you know, where you are and what they're paying. And so it is a very ruthless process sometimes. And if you don't have the correct support around you, you're not going to last very well. And if you're somebody like me who took ages to learn how to appreciate being on my own, it's not the best. It's not the best, because you may not have your mom, your dad, family around you to be able to help guide you, to be able to be there for you. You're doing it all on your own at 19. If you look at some 19-year-olds, you think, I would never give you the responsibility to pay bills and all of these things and cook for yourself and do all of these things for yourself, because it's a lot. It's a huge responsibility, and not many people are ready for that, and they're not used to it.
So what would you say one of the policy in the UK that urgent needs to be changed to better the caring system? What would you say one of the policy, do you think?
So one of the biggest things that I think need to change is the how basic, when you leave care, you get given your flat within the borough that you lived in. If you're somebody who has faced a lot of trauma in that particular borough and you no longer feel safe, you're not going to want to continue your independent living feeling safe. I feel like that award should be given to you, but you should be allowed the choice to live anywhere. So for example, if you live in Lambeth and you've gone through so much trauma, you've been abused, you've been assaulted, all of these things have happened to you, you even have a drug set and you're still in Lambeth, and now you have to you can only bid in Lambeth. Of course you're not going to want to. You're going to want to run away. You're going to want to go, you know, to a different borough or to a different part of the country. I feel like you should be allowed to choose the area that you can say, okay, I don't feel happy here. This has too many bad memories for me. I want to now move out to Westminster. I want to move to Chelsea, because I feel like keeping you in a deprived area, if you're from a very deprived borough, your outcomes in life aren't going to be as good as the children who maybe are from like Kensington and Chelsea, or, you know, one of the upper boroughs, where, you know, their outcomes in life in general and their resources that they have in those boroughs are better. If you're in a borough that don't have good resources and doesn't have good networks and good organizations to really help you, you're not going to thrive as well. So I think there has to be an equal opportunity for every young person to be given the best chance in life. And I feel like it shouldn't just be down to you can only be housed in the borough that you live in. Because I know young people who have moved out of borough and then they don't get their care leaver status. They've got their council flat, but young people, if you're in care, you don't pay council tax till you're 25. They've had to move out and they pay council tax, right, like I did. Paid council tax even though I was in the same borough. Paid council tax right from the moment I got my flat right up until now. And so I just think those opportunities, that is one thing that definitely needs to change. So the opportunities for young care leavers is greater than, you know, those, because those who are living with parents, maybe your parents you may have been fortunate that your mom or your parents or whoever could give you a savings, who could give you, you know, the deposit for you to go in a house. Yeah, you get savings as a child in care, but it's definitely nothing compared to what you could use to go and buy a house. It's definitely not enough for a deposit. So I feel like we should then be given the opportunity, or they should be given an opportunity to find a different, you know, somewhere where they feel like they can thrive. It shouldn't just be restricted to the borough that they live in.
Wow. You know what? I didn't even know that. That's something that I've learned today, that they can only bid in the area that they're in.
Yeah, in the
For
borough.
real?
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like, nah, that's not right. That's not right. But, you know, I'm glad that you did say that, because that's something I didn't even know that. And that is just shocking to know that. And this is what the Just Talk Black show. It opens, it educates, it teaches us, it shows us stuff that we didn't know. So today, as I keep on saying, people, please subscribe. If you do have a question, put it in the chat. We'll try and answer it. If we can answer it, we'll try to answer it. So if you do have any question for Monique, please put it in the chat, and we'll try to answer. If we can't, we'll just move on. simple. We just move on. But what advice would you give to a young black person who is trying to succeed in a system that don't support them? What's one advice that you would give to them?
Don't look at the system, look at your goal. Our system is so flawed. And if you continually look at the statistics of the system, you continually hearing like your outcomes aren't meant to be good because you're a care leaver. If you continually look at that, you'll stay stuck in that. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're continually hearing that you're not going to make it, you have to set your own self-fulfilling prophecy. I didn't have any goals or many aspirations. I knew I didn't want to, not working something that I always wanted to do, but I never really had, one, I wanted to be a priest, and then I wanted to be an actress, and then I wanted to be a forensic psychologist, and then I wanted to be a teacher, and I kind of just found myself in here. But I always set myself a goal that I didn't want whatever's happened to me to be the definition of me. I didn't want that ever to happen to me. And I kept telling myself, and I tell young people all the time, don't have a victim mentality. Don't stay a victim. If you've gone through something, change the narrative. You're a survivor. If you've been hurt and all of these things have happened to you, don't put it down. Don't give the ownership to the other person. Take some ownership for yourself and say, do you know what? I survived that. And because I survived that, I'm going to use it. However means necessary, I'm going to keep moving. I learned something about myself last year. Everything, all the anger that I had built up about social services, about the lies, about everything, I changed that and channeled it into my own, into my CIC, because that's what experience is meant to show you. It's meant to teach you that it doesn't matter what you've gone through. Change your pain into purpose. Let the whole thing that makes you so angry, and that's something that we saw with Stephen Lawrence's mum. She said something so profound. She was so angry with what happened. She channeled that anger into making change. And so you can be so angry at what happened. You can either make it break you and turn you into somebody that you're not going to want to be, or you can let it break you, but whilst you're helping build yourself, whilst you're gathering the people around you to help build you back up again, you can use it to really empower and make it your strength. If I tell somebody my story and they give me the sympathy look, it really irritates me. Like, it really, really does get on my nerves, and I would just stop talking about it. But if I can tell somebody my story and they can see the strength behind what I've gone through, and they can see the strength and the resilience, that is where my power comes from. And that's something I always tell young people. It doesn't matter what you've gone through in life. It only matters where you're going. And where you're going, nobody can determine that apart from yourself. It doesn't matter what age you are. No one can determine that apart from you. Yes, a judge could, if you do something silly and you end up in court, it's not a judge who determines your fate. It's the actions that you did that determine where you're going. So every act that you do from a very young age has to determine where you're going to end up. And if you want to end up on a straight and narrow, you can make certain decisions. You have the power. And that's why I always try and empower young people. Use your voice. However it means you use your voice, because that's all you have to get you out of the situation that you're in.
Wow, use your voice. I'm definitely going to be using my voice after this show, because I'm telling you, I need to get out there and do some work.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be using my voice to definitely. I love that saying, use your voice. So I know we touched about when you was going to school, someone asked you a question. I just want to bring back to that question that they asked. So how can schools and teachers support young people in care when they come to the school? How can the school and the teachers now do a better job of supporting these young people that, like yourself, you said you went to school, and when a teacher found out, it wasn't a nice reaction that she sort of gave back to you. So how can the schools and the teachers support people in care?
It's not that we need to be pampered. We don't need special treatment, preferential treatment, but we do need a certain level of apathy that everybody should have. Like, it's not giving us the sympathy vote, but it is giving us, oh, okay, if we're doing certain things in class that, you know, maybe could trigger somebody, or you know that's a certain somebody, there's a certain topic that might trigger them, how are you going to tailor make that? Of course, yeah, you don't need to change the whole curriculum, but how are you going to tailor make that so that that young person feels like they can be included? Because one thing, like Father's Day cards, I always had to make them, and I hated that. I absolutely hated it. Like, I absolutely hated Father's Day. I hated the fact that I had to be part of the group that made the cards because I didn't have nobody to give it to. So
Why was
how are we
that?
looking at? Because I just felt like I met my dad when I was 21 or 20, and
Hold on, somebody's calling. Let me see if I could. Oh, don't take that. Oh, they've cut off. Somebody was calling in the line, but never mind.
oh, I met my dad when I was 20, and for me, I always knew his name, but I just never knew who he was. Like, he wasn't present, and for me, I had such a hate. Like, why would you decide to give birth, have a child, and it wasn't just one, you had multiple children, and you pick and choose which ones you wanted to look after or which ones you didn't want to look after. That for me was really hurtful, and I felt so rejected by my dad, that I just hated Father's Day. Mother's Day wasn't too bad because I knew my mum and I could see the little, try she tried. But Father's Day, he was just never ever present. And like I said, I met him. Maybe he saw me when I was a baby, but for the next 20 years of my life, I never saw you. I never knew who you were. And it was me who actually took the initiative to try and find you. You didn't take the initiative to find me in a world where it would have been so easy to find me. So that's why Father's Day was particularly hard. And I had to really try and heal from that and really ask God to help me to forgive him from that.
I'm telling you, people are supporting you big time. Yep, you are definitely a formidable black woman. Definitely. Father's Day. Wow, come on, us black men. We need to do a lot better, I think. And that's why I think it's important that I do a podcast on the 18th of September that are bringing black men onto the show. I think, as you were saying before, we do need, young black boys do need role models, and they need people that they can look up to. Me, myself, I need to improve in many ways. I think I need to improve. And this is what the Just Talk Black show, it opens up so much to me, what I'm learning from guests like yourself, that if us black men don't step up, the trauma, the hurt, the pain that we can cause, I believe that every father should be in a household and should be there, should be protecting their kids. I honestly do believe that. I've got to do better myself. I've got two boys that love them to bits, but we need to do better. We need to have that unity within the household. So I do think it's important that we do step up as black men. And if there is black men out there who are listening, come on, guys, we need to step up our games. I was talking to someone today even about it, the workplace. I go to a lot of places in the West End, to offices, and a lot of times, and I don't see people like myself representing in these high organizations. I don't see it. And I know some people might be in the chat and say, yeah, there is black men in high position, but I hardly see it. I go to many places in the West End, like Oxford Street. I go to Vauxhall, many different offices where there are high paid people up in these places. I've got managers who don't look like me, don't represent me where I work. So it is important, as you said, to have that role model, somebody to look up to, sort of thing. So, just touching about, and I know you were saying that, in the schools, you don't want to have that sort of where, but I still think it's important that they, as you were saying, remember we was touching on the part of mental health and looking out for signs.
Yeah.
So if they are sort of aware, okay, this kid is coming from this sort of background, then they need to look out for them, but also not, as you said, set certain triggers of what you said, like Father's Day, and had to make a card. If a child don't want to make a card, then it should be all right. I don't want to make a card. That's it. that should be it. The teacher should understand,
Yeah.
which is so important. But the school system, I think they need to do a better job. And as I was saying, I didn't know all this was going on within the system until I richly done a research into sort of this, but I just love the work you're doing. Monique, is there anything that you want to say to the audience out there quickly?
Yes, you don't have to be a product of your environment. You can always change, and you can always be that change for somebody. You don't know what it means or what it would have meant for somebody to hear that. Do you know what? I'll stand with you. And people people like myself, I'm not a perfect person, and I have many flaws, but one thing that I do love is consistency, and many people who have never had that consistency as a child and shows up in many different ways. But I love consistency, and if you can see people, just be patient. I'm not saying, yeah, that you give chance after chance after chance, but be patient, because you don't know how consistent. I have people in my life who have been so consistent with me and have been so patient with me and have helped, allowed me to grow. And if you can be that for somebody, then be that. It doesn't mean that you're going to be the savior. You can't fix it all, but just be consistent. And sometimes just a listening ear. You don't need to say everything. You don't even have to have the words to say, but just to know that somebody can offload onto you makes a whole difference.
I love that. But also, just for the last sort of question, and I know I could go on forever and talk about certain things, but it's coming up to that time sort of thing. So, I'm gonna do my final question for today. If you could host a table with any Black person living, alive now, or in the past who's died or gone, who would you invite and why?
I would do my mum. I would definitely do my mum, because my mum has a beautiful story. Um, and her story would have touched so many lives. And I feel like she never got the opportunity. When she did tell parts of her story, she wasn't believed. She was looked at as, the underdog. But my mum would have been the best person, and that's where I get my voice from, because I wish somebody would have just taken the time out to listen to her, to understand her, and also to protect her. And so if my mom was able to tell her story from birth until now, it would have been one that so many people could resonate with. And that's somebody who I would love to, and I was thinking about that in the bathroom today. I would have loved to have been able to even bring my mum to do something like this.
Oh, wow. Wow. That is deep. That is so deep. So your mum to bring and to be able to tell her story. That is deep. I'll take my hat off to you. Like, that is definitely a one. And this is what I said. This is what this show is about. And this is why I was saying to my friend the other day, I love doing this show, because I get to meet so much different people who have testimonies, that have stories. And just for this show just to be here, it gives anybody an opportunity of, no matter what you've gone through, to air and tell your story. So, Monique, I'm going to thank you for coming on. I'm going to just quickly also bring up your social media. Let's see if I could bring that up. So this is Monique's social media, that way you can find her company, and you can also find herself on Instagram. So please check Monique out on her Instagram page. She's got her company, and you can also check her out on Instagram. Follow her. Please, guys, follow her. This has been an amazing show today. I'm just like, wow, come on, man. Like, Monique.
Thank
As
you
I
for
said,
having me.
I'm going to bring you back for part 2. I'm going to bring your partner in as well. just from this topic alone that we've been speaking about, is giving me many different topics that we can also go into. I see your partner in the background. Is that correct? The picture of you two together? I
Oh
love
yes,
that.
my
Yeah.
30th birthday.
Oh wow, I love that picture. So big up to your husband out there as well. And I said I do want to bring you and your husband on the show, and I think I'm gonna try to as well from 40 downwards to bring marriage couples in to a space like this, where we can absolutely talk about marriage from a young person sort of perspective, which will be good as well. But I also do want to bring you back for part 2. And you're doing wonderful things out there. Please keep up what you're doing, and please, guys, you've watched the show, please go and follow her on Instagram. Just send her wonderful message and just saying, you know what you were talking about today, I really do appreciate it, because it's just the little things, people, that just count. A little 2-3 minutes that take out your time just to send her a message. And I know a lot of people have been sending a message today in the chat, but just leave a nice message on her Instagram page, supporting her. She will go through trials and tribulation, but if we come together as a community and support one another, that sometimes when we're going through the hard time, and we can look back on our Instagram page where maybe somebody put a message about, maybe today Monique came on the podcast, Monique, and you put that message on her page, and she might go back and look at that, and then she think, yeah, I'm going to keep on, come on. So please take 2-3 minutes, just send her a message on, Instagram. And also, guys, please subscribe and hold on. I'm going to quickly, Monique, quickly, is your partner around, or is he looking after the kids?
Yeah, he's doing kids.
He's doing kids. Oh, I'm gonna
I
bring
can
him
hear
next time
someone
then.
crying upstairs.
Because I just wanted to just say to him when you do see him, just say to him,
He's definitely listening.
is he listening? Okay, so
Yeah,
if you're listening, Monique's husband, I just want to take my hat off to you and just say you are doing a wonderful job, my brother. And you have my support, and I will keep on praying for you guys, and everything you do in life, I hope you achieve to the maximum. You have the support from the Just Talk Black show, and I just love the way that you two are going on as a couple. And also, I know you both work on your company, the company together, which I've seen and on Instagram, and what you're doing is a wonderful job. So from a brother to another brother, I salute you and say keep up the good work, and thank you for letting your wife come on the show today. You have an amazing wife, so keep on doing what you're doing. You are truly blessed, my brother. And Monique, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate this. You letting me tell my story. Thank you.
Wow. No, I thank you, because you've been the star of the show today. And thank you for coming on the show today. So guys, that was it. That's Monique. I wish I could have gone on a little bit longer, but time is at the time. And please, guys, if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. This is important. You see how important it is to share this message. If you got an Instagram, Facebook, whatever you can, just do a little message. Say, guys, follow this podcast, the Just Talk Black show. And guys, we do have a number that you can call in. Someone did try to call in today, but they cut off. So the next show, please remember that we do have a phone in line, so you can ask our guests a question. I think when Monique comes on next time, please phone in and answer some questions, and just keep on, supporting this show, because without you guys, there would be no Shy. You guys are the star of the show. Every single one of you are the star today, and I take my hat off and I send you love from the bottom of my heart for coming in and watching the show today. And as I'm going to always say, subscribe. But just quickly on next week, who we have, this is another brother that we are getting on the show. The importance of godparents and role models. Come on, the importance. How important is it for godparents to do their duties and a role model within the Black community? This guy has written a wonderful book that also on the show I'm going to be giving away for free. Absolutely free, guys. This book is going to be going away free as a prize. So on the day, please, as I said, subscribe. It will notify you of when the show is going live. And yeah, just keep on following us. I'm going to see if I could bring in the flyer, because last time I tried to bring it in, it wasn't working. But let me see if I could bring it in. So, guys, yes, this is the Just Talk Black first ever panel discussion. These are the guys who are absolutely going to be rocking it on the 18th of September. Our first live panel ever on the Just Talk Black show. So we're going to be diving into, as I said, relationships, culture, entrepreneurship, and many more different sort of topics on the day, sort of, guys. And if you are unaware, you can follow me on Just Talk Black on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, and that is the number to contact me, guys. If you do want to be on the show, you've got a testimony, you've got a story to tell, please, guys, give me a call and we'll get you on the show. Simple as that, guys. We can get you on the show. The website is not live at the moment, guys. I've put it there. It will be going live next month. We will be having a website live where you can absolutely go on and watch all the shows, and also you'll be able to sign up if you want to be on the show. So, guys, really do appreciate and you guys today and all the people that's been sending the wonderful messages out there. I can see you all in the chat, and I do salute you guys. And, you know, thank you guys for supporting the Just Talk Black show today.
Big love to everyone tuning in, to every voice, every vibe, every Black soul shining. This one's for you. Thank you for riding with the Just Talk Black show.
We started with the mic and a dream. Now your love makes the vision beam. Every like, every share, every view means the world. We honor you. You stayed locked in week by week, giving power to the words we speak. This is more than a show, it's true. So we give this back to you.
Thank you for the love, yeah, we feel that vibe. Feel that vibe. Lift us up and keep us alive. From the heart of the Black to the globe.
Let 'em know.
Thank you for riding with the Just Talk Black show.
Big respect to the fam who stayed through the laughs, the tears, the moves we made. You are the reason we grow and glow. Thank you for tuning to Just Talk Black show. We talk black, we talk bold, but it's you that keeps the story told. When you come and call in and vibe, you bring this whole thing to life. From Black business to rising stars, we're shining bright cause you play your part. No matter where you're watching from, you are the heartbeat of this drum.
Thank you, heart, for the strength.
Love you show.
The fire in this Black
So glow.
One voice, one love, one flow.
Let it flow.
Thank you for watching the Just Talk Black show.
You clap back, you lift up, you ride. Together we stand in Black pride. No matter the topic, deep or light, you're the reason we shine so bright. We see you, we feel you. From every screen we're grateful to. Every click, every time you show. It's love, it's real, it's Just Talk Black show.